I would say Mike Thompson is one of the best at Liberty, or either he was just there when I went by the other day. This podcast, Coach Thompson talks about his role as a player, how he decided on Longwood, how he decided on what to study. He talks about his children, and he talks about playing for a man known as Mr. Baseball in the Bedford community. That is Jim Cutler. Here's Mike Thompson on the Sports Buffet podcast. You've played baseball. You've coached softball. You're now here as an administrator. So let's go back and talk about the baseball playing days.
Okay. That was a long time ago. Different field before the configuration here that we're at now. But yeah. I graduated in 93. So at that time, eighth graders still came to Liberty. I was the last class. A lot of firsts. My dad was the first graduating class at Liberty. So he just came here his senior year. My mom was the first 9 through 12 graduating class. And then I was the last 8th grade class that came through. So we wasn't the middle school at that point.
Right.
So you went to school with second graders one year, and the next year you were with 18-year-olds with the smoking section up from the gym to the shop.
Sounds like me in old high school, because you're in a basement I was in our basement at JF, got to go away for like 2 years and then back to the basement.
There you go.
So anyway, talk about playing for Jim Cutler.
Yeah. And my dad played for him. I played for him. My wife's dad played for him.
Everybody played for him up
Absolutely.
to,
if you went
up
to Liberty,
you, I think, wasn't it?
Stewart was between he and I.
Stuart
Grant was between he and I.
We don't try to mention that name.
But I
gets us negative views.
I coached. I started coaching. Well, I obviously played for him.
Right.
I started playing JV, in 8th grade, that kind of thing, and came up and played my 10th grade year on varsity. I grew about, Lord have mercy, probably a foot that year. So I sprained my ankle just walking off the sidewalk. So my 10th grade year, I played, but I was, Gumby at that point before I grew into my body a little bit.
Did you change positions growing a foot?
No, I always played first. And
okay.
I pitched growing up, but by the time I got to high school, we were throwing curveballs when we were 6 years old back then. So I guess I still could have done it a little bit, but I played first pretty much my whole career, even before I got tall. But then definitely after, there was really nowhere else for me to go at that point.
You know Jim Cutler probably in a different way than I do. I cannot imagine Jim Cutler really yelling. Did he?
No, he did not. He'd get, who is it that played football that didn't cuss? Phillip Rivers. That would kind of,
gosh darn.
He was a good trash talker, but
yeah.
In a different way. He would get mad, but he would make up words, to kind of be placeholders. But even then, not very often. Great knowledge, obviously, and really good to play for. I don't know many people that have anything bad to say about him.
Is there a moment from your playing days where he probably should have yelled at the team, or should have yelled? I don't want to say should have yelled at you, but yelled at the team or you to where he didn't? That sticks out?
Not that I recall, and the way my brain works, I don't remember a whole lot of those days. I kind of remember it as a whole, not as individual.
Thanks for telling me that this now.
Not as individual pieces, but back then it's funny in today's world. 2-win football teams make the playoffs, 4-win baseball, softball teams make the playoffs. I never played an out-of-district game. We were pretty good. We finished 3rd and 4th, but there were 11 teams in the Seminole. You only played 18 games, so you kind of had a draft before the year started, picking out of a hat. The coaches did, and there were 2 teams you only played once. So if somebody drew William Campbell and Alta Vista, somebody else drew Brookville and Rustburg, pretty big difference.
Now, the Seminole in your day,
yeah,
we got JF and Stan River, so you got the county covered.
Stan River came back and forth. They went to Blue Ridge, came back.
But in your day, were they there? Or were they
Stan River was, I think they came in at some point, either came in or left.
Because they were in my day, I guess.
Okay.
So my day is you're merging with
maybe they had come back by then.
Congratulations, you're younger. William Campbell, still in. Buckingham in?
Buckingham, Nelson, Appomattox, Campbell, Gretna came and went. Amherst came and went a few different times when they went up and down in classifications. So yeah, there were 11 teams. He played 18 games. The only teams that made the playoffs, you had to either win the Seminole regular season or win the tournament. So, like I said, we weren't bad. We finished third or fourth.
Because there was a tournament then too.
There was a big tournament. Yeah, that was when they announced all district, and it was a pretty big deal.
Right.
And so, like I said, that was it. I never played an out of district game in all my years. So it's kind of different then, and never played a playoff game because, again, only 2 teams went, and had to win it to go.
And I got to think in high school, you're not having really like charging mound rushback type of things, right? No brawls.
No.
Or are we going to get some breaking news here?
No, I can't recall any. I can think to Legion days. Sometimes it got a little testy, maybe, but I don't think I was ever involved in a.
And we can talk about
physical.
Legion. What's that? Because people nowadays don't know what Legion is because travel baseball
has
taken over the.
And Legion was huge, and I was lucky enough to be a part of
54, right?
The 54 group with Brandon, with Ryan Gilliland, and Muncher and Jerry Padgett and Vince Worley and
Brandon
Inch.
It worked out for him. I think.
It worked out pretty good.
Hope so.
Yeah, at that point we didn't know he was a catcher at that point.
Could you tell?
He obviously was good, and he was one of those. He was one of those guys that he could pick up a ball and bat. He could pick up probably a golf club. He was going to be good at whatever he did, kind of guy. But he also was that extra worker. I mean, that was a pretty gifted group, and we won a lot of games. It was a lot of fun. But he's the type. I remember when we were playing at the old LU field. By the train tracks. That was our home field there for a year or two. I can remember him, being the first out of the inning and going to the cage,
right?
While the rest of us were hitting or whatever, so he would swing in between at bats. So naturally, yes, but also he was a worker. I mean,
so when you go to the cage, what are you doing? Is it hitting off the tee or is it hitting off live in a cage?
In that situation for him,
in your day.
Oh, in my day. I guess it depends on who you had to throw to you.
Right.
If different practices, different ways, we maybe didn't split up the way they do today. And there was a lot of, half the teams shagging, half the teams in hitting. But then you'd send a group to the cage and kids would throw to other kids, unless you were fortunate enough to have a coaching staff that, had somebody on it could throw a solid long round of BP. But
can you throw a solid round of BP?
Used to could. I don't know if I can make it anymore. I got to throw an underhand there for a few years, and
I talk about that.
I don't know how much overhand I've got left. I've got a 9-year-old, which is a story in and of itself, because obviously Millie, I believe she's 24 and just had Kanan graduate here at Liberty. He's 18. And then we had a little surprise, and he's 9. But he's going to have to kind of do it himself. The bucket days are about over for me.
Now, when you throw BP, you're essentially having to throw pretty much a straight ball for, however long you're going to throw BP for.
Yeah. When I first started my coaching days, I remember, because I was still young enough, and I'd get out there and throw to the whole team. All 18 or whatever we had, and throw full rounds for 2 hours, and was fine. My middle son, he fell out of love with baseball really quick, going from field to field, chasing Millie around. Mm-hmm. And he kind of turned against it real early in life. He played hockey, he played football, he did some things, but his senior year, his best friend plays baseball, and he decided, I'm gonna go out there and play baseball this year. I'll just pinch hit a little bit. Don't really want a position or anything like that, but just kind of hang out with the boys. And he did. And I threw batting practice to him one day in the cage. Once he decided he wanted to do that. And
was there not enough aggression for him in baseball? Because you talk about football and hockey are what I would call aggression sports. Because I know your son played offensive line too.
Yeah,
so it's not like
he was a lineman.
Not hitting people.
right
in that boat. Was it baseball? Was it not enough aggression, or
he
chasing Millie around made it boring?
Maybe so. And he and Millie are so different. I mean, he is not a super competitive guy when it comes to sports. I mean, he's a pretty smart guy, and he's competitive. He wants you to think that he's smarter than you if it came down to it. But as far as sports go, he never really understood why are y'all getting so upset? Why are y'all, we'd be on the way maybe to Clemson and say, that we'd get a text or whatever. Oh, Millie's throwing today. And then we'd get nervous. And why are you nervous? Well, she's throwing today. Well, she's a pitcher, and I was like, yes, but she's pitching against X team or whatever. And he's like, yeah, but that's what she's supposed to do. That's what she's there for. And then after the game, win, lose, whatever, didn't really understand why we were excited that we won or down that we lost, because it's just another day, So he didn't really have that fire. He played because he enjoyed being around his friends and enjoyed the exercise of it, but he never got into living and dying with sports.
Were you smart or competitive? If you had to go to one side or the other?
I would like to think I'm smarter now, but I was super competitive. Yeah.
Were you smart as a player?
I'd like to think so.
I'm not saying you're dumb, by the way.
I'd like to think that I was smarter as a player than I probably was off the field.
Did you see things like, could you break it down did you know you wanted to coach when you were playing?
No, I did not know I wanted to coach. But I was, I did study the game. I watched, back then, I guess we watched more baseball than people kind of do now, but watched a lot of baseball. And I really remember enjoying the defensive side of baseball. Of course, everybody wants to swing the bat, but I enjoyed taking ground balls. I enjoyed that part of it and the strategic nature of it and things like that. So I guess that kind of laid the foundation maybe for coaching. But no, I got out of college and Coach Cutler said, why don't you come back and coach a JV team? And at that point, I hadn't really even thought about coaching. So no, I don't think I grew up. I mean, I'm sure when I was 14, I thought I was going to play baseball forever,
Right. Did you go to college for a specific, I don't want to say, did you go to college for a reason, but did you have something else in mind other than coaching when you went to college, or I'm going to play baseball forever?
Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Longwood.
Okay.
Did
you play?
Longwood. I played for 2 years. Didn't end up working out so well. But I wasn't bad at school necessarily, but it wasn't my thing. 4-year college, the college life, that kind of thing, I'd rather not. And Kanan kind of shares that with me. No, I went initially to play baseball and not a lot of plans otherwise. I remember choosing psychology because it was somewhat interesting, and it was also a BS as opposed to a BA, and I didn't have to take a foreign language. I remember that kind of being the qualifier. I don't have to take a foreign language. So
BS, by the way, Bachelor of Science, not something else.
I probably did.
Bachelor of Arts.
It probably started the other. But yeah, I kind of chose that because I could go down that path and the classes fit better for whatever. And I remember having no idea. Just, hey, psychology sounds cool or whatever, but not realizing until I was probably a senior, oh, this really doesn't lead anywhere unless you do more school, which I had no desire to do.
Right.
So
why'd you choose Longwood, by the way?
Baseball, I would say. Yeah.
It's far enough away, but close enough.
It is.
To where you don't have to,
Yeah.
fly home.
Recruiting was a little different then. Like you said, we didn't have travel and we didn't know when we were 12 where we were going to go to college and things like that. Right. So it just kind of worked out in my senior year that's where I was going to go. But it wasn't like, I decided in 9th or 10th grade and did that. It was just, it fell into place.
Coach Cutler is an older gentleman now. Obviously, he hasn't always been old because we have a birthday every year. Was he hitting in and outs to you guys when you were in school?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. He loved hitting batting practice, and he likes talking about, hitting batting or hitting infield, outfield, not batting practice, but he likes talking about when he coached the Olympic trial team in Houston. way back when Mike Mussina was coming through. And he got to hit infield at the Astrodome, and he'll tell you, he was hitting fly balls to the catcher and, things like that. And
what's the biggest thing you learned from him?
I think his demeanor more than probably baseball itself, just how to treat people. He was a level guy that
still is.
It still is, and he will. You can believe a quarter of what he says. Same
thing with a lot of us.
Yeah, he was out here. He came out here a few times this year, and he still plays golf every morning. We like to joke because they've kind of created a new tee box for him. I think at this point he just putts from the tee box. He's so close, but still plays all the time. And he wrote. Of course, I think he's in the process of writing his second book. He was talking about the other day. He was looking for some more stories because I think he filled up his first book with everything that came to mind initially, and I think he came up with some others since then. So, we have 2 copies of it in the library. I didn't read it when it first came out just because I just kind of slipped my mind, but I grabbed a copy at the end of last school year and read it this summer. It's really good. So.
Was there not enough pictures for you?
There's no pictures. No, it's just him on the cover.
I know Coach Thompson well, so that's why I kind of joke around with him about this. By the time I got to know Coach Cutler, he was a laid back, more guy. I don't want to say he didn't have intensity, but he was more laid back.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on it, but has he always been that way?
It doesn't sound like it. I think I kind of caught him in the middle in my days, but if you kind of hear the old, the 77 team that won the state and things like that, I think he was a little more fiery like the rest of us when he was younger and mellowed out as he got older, probably. I think that's pretty natural. I feel like myself, I feel like early in my coaching days, I coached the sport, and later in my coaching days, I coached the kid, so that was the progression.
You'll hear more episodes from Coach Thompson as he talks about coaching softball more. In this episode, we focused a lot on the baseball time, his playing days, as well as pitching, batting practice, and things of that sort. But you'll hear more from Mike Thompson in the future. You'll also hear more of the Sports Buffet in the future. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel, also on Spotify. This has been Bob Alvis.